We begin today in the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Shemeres Yavam Shenaflu La Nechasim. Shemeres Yavam. So this is the Yevama that's waiting for her Yavam to do the mitzvah, to be miyavim her, but he was not miyavim her yet. And now there are possessions, monies that fell to her. She yarshened it from somewhere. So in the simple pshat of this Mishnah, that means in this time period, when she is a Shemeres Yavam, she got these monies. So now the question is, what's the story with this money? Whose is it? On one hand, she still is not married to her Yavam yet. Right? The halacha always is with a husband and wife, any money that the wife gets, it goes to the husband. But over here, she's not married yet. But at the same time, though, there's already a zikah. She's already connected to him, that she's destined, she's waiting to get married to him. So what happens with this money? Maidim Beishamai and Basil will both agree. Shemeicheres v'neisenes, she can sell this money, she can give it as a gift to anybody. V'kayam, and whatever she did took effect, meaning that money she received at this time, we consider it to be still hers. Now, what happens if she passed away? She was a Shemeres Yavam, she never ended up getting married to her, but she passed away. So now, what happens? Ma yaseh b'ksubasa. So first of all, the question is, what happens with her ksuba? And we're talking over here about her ksuba that really was owed to her, or not owed to her, the ksuba of the first husband. Right? When the husband passes away, she gets a ksuba. But over here, because there's a yavam, she does not get the ksuba. That money from the ksuba goes to the yavam. Right? And now she died, so now the question is, who inherits this money of the ksuba? Ma yasa b'ksubasa, this money of the ksuba, who gets this money? From the first husband, correct. Okay. U'b'nechasim hanachnasim v'yotzin ima. And also the money that comes in and out with her from marriage. What does this mean, money that comes in and out with her from marriage? This is in the Gemara what's usually called nichse melog. This means any properties, for example, that a woman brings into the marriage, and during the time of the marriage, when she's alive, her husband can eat from the paytis, he gets any of the benefits of these properties, but then if she's getting divorced or he passes away, what happens? She gets all those properties back, as is. So again, the taich is nechnasim v'yotzin. They enter with her, and they come out with her as is at the time when her husband divorces or he passes away. So now the question is also regarding these nechasim. Who gets this money over here? On one hand, when her first husband passed away, who yarshins all of the money that the first husband had? It goes to the yavam. So now, if she passed away, she never got this field back. She passed away. So l'chayre, the yavam is the one that got all this money that she left by her first husband. On the other hand, though, she wasn't ever fully married to the Yavam. So again, we're dealing with the same point over here. The Hayes, on one hand, she was not yet married to the Yavam. So the Yavam is the one that yarshins that ksuba money and this nichse melug that goes over from the first husband to the brother. On the other hand, though, because she was not married to him yet, maybe she should be the one that should get this ksuba money, or the ones that yarshin her should be the one getting the ksuba money, or also this nechasam and achnasam v'yetzin ima, this nichse melug money as well, the properties that she brings into marriage and then she takes out afterwards. Maybe she should get it, or maybe her yereshim should get it. So here there's a machlokes in the Mishnah, who gets this money? Beishamai yomrim, Beishamai say yachloiku yershei abal im yershei av. What happens is the Yershei Abal, meaning the ones that yarshin the Yavam, and Yershei Av refers the people that yarshin her. In other words, her family. She doesn't have any children, right? So what we're talking about is her family members that are from her father. So they split because there's a suffix. Who's supposed to get this ksuba money, or who's supposed to get these properties of hers that she brought into the first marriage? So they split it. Beis Hillel say, no, you don't have to split it. Nechasim b'cheskasan. You leave the money in its chazakah. What is the chazakah of the money? Ksube b'cheskas Yershei Abal. The ksube money, that remains in the possession of the Yershei Abal, the Yershim of the Yavam. Why? Because again, when the first husband passed away, she was not yet able to get that ksube b'chlal, because there was a Yavam that was alive. As long as the Yavam is alive and the Yavam has to be miyavim her, she does not get that ksube money. So really that ksube money is in the chazakah of the Yavam, even though the Yavam never married her, but Hayais, the Yavam was there, and she was supposed to become the Siyavim to him, so the money of the Ksubah is in the Chazaka of the Yavam. The Chasim, Baal refers to the Yavam. That's what Baal means here. In the entire Gemara, you'll see, Baal always means the Yavam. But the properties that she brought into the marriage, and her husband, her first husband, only eats the paytas of that properties, but really it's hers. So that properties that she brings into the marriage, and they leave with her when her husband dies or when he divorces her. So that's b'cheskas Yershiav. That's in the chazaka of the Yershiav, meaning the Yershim of her family. So they get it. So in other words, Beis Hillel says that true, there is some kind of a suffix over here, exactly who's supposed to yarshim this, but what do you do in a case of a suffix? You leave it, each one gets it, the one that has more of a chazaka over these properties. Okay, the Gemara will explain more this machlokes over here between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, why exactly they argue, in what case exactly they argue. We'll see everything in the Gemara. There is another pshat in this Mishnah here that many Rishonim say that when Beis Hillel says nechasim b'cheskasan, nechasim b'cheskasan is another category. It's not a hakdama to the next part of what the Mishnah explains, what the chazaka is, but nechasim b'cheskasan refers to, there's another kind of property that a woman has, which is called nichsei tzoyin barzel. Nichsei tzoyin barzel means also properties that she brings into the marriage, but the condition regarding these nechasim is different. It's written into the ksubah that the husband takes responsibility to return it to her. In a time that he divorces her, or if he passes away, he takes responsibility to return it to her in the value that it has today, the day of marriage. If the value goes up or the value goes down, he doesn't have to give back to her more than the value that it is in the time of the marriage. Nichsei mulug is properties that she brings into the marriage that the husband has to give back to her when he divorces her according to the value that it has then, as is then, on the day that he passes away or he divorces her. During the time of marriage, he's able to eat from the paytas of this land. Not able, it's his. The paytas belong to the husband. Again, same bazel is the properties that the husband takes responsibility to give to her as is in the value that it has on the day that he marries her. And that's what the nechasim b'cheskasan refers to. Okay, that's another pshat of here. Okay, let's continue the Mishnah. Zog the Mishnah weiter. Kinsa, what happens if the Yavam was Meyavimer? He married her already. So now she becomes his wife for everything. There's one difference here. The money of the ksubah, like there is in every marriage, it's the ksubah money that he has to give if he divorces or he passes away. Where does that money come from by a Yavam? It comes from the possessions of the first husband, from the first brother that the Yavam yarshened. Right? The Yavam yarshens all the possessions of his brother, so the ksubah money for his wife now, for the Yevamah, also comes from the first brother. Okay, Gemara is going to explain now the first chelik of the Mishnah. Again, the first chelik of the Mishnah, we're talking about a shemeres Yavam, that she has possessions, and now the question is, who does it belong to? Does it belong to her? Does it belong to her husband? On one hand, she's not married yet to him. On the other hand, she's anticipating, she's waiting to get married to her. There's already a zikah, there's a connection to her. What's the story with the money that she owns in that time period? So now the Gemara is going to ask here that the Reisha and the next case seem to be saying two different things. Fragt the Gemara, Ma'ishna Reisha, what's the difference here? That in the Reisha, the loy pligi. In the case of the Reisha, there's no argument between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Over there it says that any money that she gets in this time of being a shemeres Yavam, it's hers, she can sell it, she can give it as a gift, and it's good. And why when it comes to the next case, the pligi? Over here in the next case, what happened? She passed away, and there are monies that seemingly would belong to her ksubah money, her nichsei mulug, her properties. And regarding those monies, then when she passed away, what do we say? Here, suddenly there's a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. What do we do with it? Beis Shammai says you have to split it between her Yarshim and the Yarshim of the Yavam. Beis Hillel says leave it for the one that has a bigger chazakah. Why over here suddenly is there a machlokes? So the Gemara is going to give no less than 4 different pshatim for this question. And this is going to take us almost to the next Mishnah. Let's see. So the first pshat over here is Reisha. In the first case of the Mishnah, what we're speaking about is the Nafla Keshehi Arusa. We're talking about a Yevamah that was never fully married to her first husband. There's 2 stages in marriage, right? The Kiddushin, or it's called Edison, and then a Nisuan, fully married. So she was only married as an Arusa. Over there, in the Reisha of the Mishnah, that's when it said that any monies that she gets is hers, totally hers, and it does not go at all to the Yavam. The Seifa, in the next case of the Mishnah, where there's an argument between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the Nafla Kishi Nesua. She was already fully married to the first brother, and now he passed away, and now she's a Yavam. In such a case, because she was already a Nesua, here there's going to be a Safek who the money goes to, and here there's a Machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And the Gemara now explains the pshat of Ula's answer. Kusavar Ula, so Ula holds as follows: Zika Sarusa, if she was before an Arusa to the first brother, and now when that brother dies, so there's a Zika to the second brother. She's now not yet married to the second brother, but there's a connection to the second brother because she was an Arusa to the first brother. Oise Safik Arusa. This will make her only into a Safik Arusa, and therefore she can keep all her money. That says this term of Safik Arusa means that that whatever connection she had to the first husband, which was only as an Arusa, not yet fully married, by the connection to the second brother, that connection is even less. And because the connection is even less, so therefore the Yavam has no zechus in her money at all. Rashi says the only reason the Gemara uses the term Safik is because it doesn't want to say that she has no connection to him at all, because then you'll think you don't need any Yevamos Chalitza either. You still need Yevamos Chalitza. So there is some connection between them. But as far as the money is concerned, the money is totally hers, like the Mishnah said. She can sell, she can do whatever she wants with it. Okay, the Gemara is going to come back to explain this even more. Just let's continue. Zikas Nesua. But when it comes to the connection that a wife has to the Yavam, because she was a Nesua, totally married to the first brother, so Oise Safik Nesua. So over here, there is a Safik about whether this is a connection to her second husband, to the Yavam or not. And therefore, over here comes the Machlekes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, what happens to the money that she got being a Nesua. Okay, so now the Gemara explains this. Weiter, according to Ula, how do we know that this is how Ula teaches the Mishnah? So the Gemara, Zikas Arusa, when we say that you have one Yevama, that to her first husband she wasn't fully married, she was just an Arusa, Oises Safik Arusa, so this will now make a connection to the second husband, to the Yavam, which did not marry her yet. It's only a Safik Arusa, which really means that regarding the money is still all hers. Why do we have to say that? Why do we have to say that it's only a Safik Arusa? So the Gemara explains, if you're going to say that the connection to the second husband is the same like the connection to the first husband, just like to the first husband she was a Vaday Arusa to him, the connection to the second husband is also the same. If so, how could you say Moedim Beis Hillel shemecheres v'nisanes v'kayim? In the Reisha of our Mishnah, it said that everybody would agree, even Beis Hillel, that she could sell, she could give it as a gift, and it's good. Even lechatchila, she can go ahead and do that. How could you say Beis Hillel would agree to this? But v'hatnan, we learned in the Mishnah in Ksubis. So there, the Mishnah in Ksubis discusses every single arusa. Every time you have a wife that's still an arusa, did not get fully married yet, what's the story with her possessions, with her money? So it says over there, there's a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about that. No, flulan l'chasa mishanis arsa. If she got money in the time when she was only arusa to her husband, Beis Shammai Yemer and Beis Shammai say timkei, that b'chatchila she can go, it's still hers until she's fully married. She can sell it, do whatever she wants with it. When Beis Hillel Yemerim, but Beis Hillel argue and say loisimkar, she cannot sell it. And then it says, Elu ve'elu mainim, they'll both agree, she'im machra v'nasna, the b'diavad, if she went and sold it or gave it as a gift to someone, kayam, it takes effect. But over here in our Mishnah it says that both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai will admit and will agree that she could go l'chatchila and sell it and do whatever she wants with it. So why over here, if we're saying that by the case of a woman being an arusa to her husband, there's a machlokes if she can, why over here we're saying that everybody agrees that she can? Elushmami no. So this is the reason why we have to say that over here it's different, because this is already not a full marriage, it's the second husband, zikas eirisa, zikas arusa that is. However weak the connection of edison to the first husband is, but still, it's a full edison, it's a real kedushin. Over here we're talking about a zikas arusa, and therefore oise safik arusa. That brings it a level down, that over here the connection is even less. And really, as far as the monies that she gets at this time, there's no connection to her yavam at all, and therefore she can do with it whatever she wants, and even Beis Hillel will agree to that. That's the first pshat of Ula over here, benegeh to the Reisha of the Mishnah. Now the Gemara explains what Ula said, benegeh to the Seif of the Mishnah. Zikas Nesua, if she was already fully married to her first husband, Oisa Safik Nesua. So now, when it comes to the second husband, now there's going to be a Safik, and here's the machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, what we do about this. How do we know that it's only a Safik Nesua? So the Gemara explains, if you're going to say that this Yevama, if she was fully married to her first husband, so now for the Zika, for the connection to the Yavam, it's also considered to be like fully married. If so, Beishama Yomrim Yachloki Yershia Balam Yershia Av. When it says that Beishama's opinion is that there's a suffix here, and the Yershia Bal, the Yershim of the Yavam, have to split this monies with the Yershim of the woman of this Yevama, but why would they have to split it? We learned in the Mishnah, if a woman gets money while she's married to her husband, everybody will agree, if she sells this or gives it as a gift, the husband can go and take it away from the buyers. Once she's fully married, for sure the money that she has no control to sell it and do what she wants with it. So if we're going to say that over here, the Zikah to the Yavam is the same thing, so why does it say that Bishami said that there's a suffix about this? Elishmami no, so therefore this proves to us Zikas Nisua, that she was already Nisua before. But now for the brother, it's only a Zika. He was not Miyavim her yet. Ois suffix Nisua. Now it's going to be a suffix. What happens? In whose possession is she? Do we say that she's already belongs to the Yavam just like their first husband, and therefore the money belongs to the Yavam, or no? Maybe she's still independent from him, and therefore when she passes away, it's her family that has to yashin her monies, her ksubah, or actually we'll see that regarding the ksubah there's no machlekes, we'll see soon in the Gemara, or regarding her nichsei melug, so it's only a suffix nesua. Okay, this is the pshat of all in the Mishnah. So what's the point of all this pshat in the Mishnah? The difference between the Reisha and the Sefer. In the Reisha we're talking about a Yevama from Edison, and from the Sefer we're talking about a Yevama from Nisun. Amalei Rabbe, so Rabbe says, asks an Ula, if that's the whole difference, so Adamiflagi begufa Ola'acha Misa, so why in the Mishnah when it comes to the Sefer, where Bishame and Basil are arguing, so they're arguing about her properties, whether her ksubah properties, whether the nichsim melug, they're arguing about her properties, Ola'acha Misa, and after she passes away, that's what they're arguing. Who's the one that yashins this? Liflagu b'chayel. Let the argument be in the Sefer also when she's alive. Ulepetis. And regarding her properties, who's the one that can now use and eat the fruits from her properties? In other words, according to Ula, the difference between the Reisha and the Sefer is not about whether she's alive or she passed away. The difference is what kind of Yevama is she? Is she a Yevama from Edison or is she a Yevama from Nisuin? So therefore that distinction is applicable even if she's still alive, both in the Reisha and the Sefer. So why in the Sefer does the Mishnah say, oh, she passed away, and now that she passed away, there'll be a machlekes between Bisham and Basil? It has nothing to do with the fact that she passed away. Elomar Rabbe, so therefore Rabbe says, no, that taka is the point between the difference between the Reisha and the Sefer. Idi both the Reisha and the Sefer are speaking about the Nafla Kishin Nesua, that she fell for Yivum from being fully married. Zikas Nesua, Oisa Safik Nesua. And like we said before, because she was fully married to the first brother, so now when it comes to the second brother, there's a Safik here. He didn't fully marry her yet, but he's still connected to her, so therefore there's a Safik. So now what's the difference between the Reisha and the Sefer? Why in the Reisha do we say she can sell her monies and when she's still alive, and when she passes away she cannot? So this is taka the difference. It makes a difference if she's alive or she passed away. Reisha ihi kaime, in the Reisha because she's still alive, havala ihi vadai. We consider her to be in a stronger position. She has a vadai koyach over her properties. Why is that? Because the guf of those properties are definitely hers. She's the one that brought these properties into the marriage. Elamai, it's the paytis of the properties that the husband could use, or now maybe the Yavam could use. So because she's in a stronger position that the properties itself are definitely hers, so therefore over here when there's a suffix, she's considered to be a vadai. And the inu suffix, and they are a suffix. The Yavam over here that wants to use the paytis of this property that's definitely his, he has a suffix. Maybe he's considered to be like married to her, maybe not. And the rule is, as we learned before, ve'ein suffix moitzim midei vadai. Since she's a vadai and he's only a suffix, so the suffix can't take out of the vadai. That's when she's alive. So it's definitely her properties. Sefer, however, when it comes to the Sefer of the Mishnah, the Mesa, now she passed away. So now it's a question of Yerusha. So over here, the argument between the Yarshim, everybody's a suffix. Halalu ba'an li'reish, v'halalu ba'an li'reish. Her family says that the properties belong to us, and the Yavam's family say that the properties belong to us. None of them have any chazak, and none of them have any vadai over it, so therefore v'yachloiku. In such a case, we just have to split it. So over there, that's the reason why Beis Shammai say you split it, but Beis Hillel actually say that you don't split it. Beis Hillel say you give it to the one that had a better chazaka over it, because sof it came from her. She had the chazaka over it, so therefore her Yershim have a chazaka over it. That's the difference. So Rab is teaching the Mishnah. The difference between the Reisha and the Seifa is whether she's alive or she passed away. Now the Gemara is going to go off on a side topic over here. The basis of what we just said was that in the Reisha, everybody agrees that she gets the properties fully and she can do with it whatever she wants because Ein Safek Meitzim Midei Vadai. Question is, does Beis Shammai agree to this concept of Ein Safek Meitzim Midei Vadai? Eis ve'Abaye, so Abaye asks, Ula Beis Shammai, according to Beis Shammai, is this true that Ein Safek Meitzim Midei Vadai? That when you have such a situation that you say that the Safek cannot take out anything from the one that has more of a stronger status in the ownership of the field? But Vatnan, we learned the Mishnah that says as follows. Nafal abayis olav alaviv. A person was in a house and the house collapsed upon him and upon his father. Or olav al meirishay, or the house collapsed upon him or on anyone else that he would inherit money from. Just like a person inherits from a father, he could inherit from someone else. So they both died under this house now. Now we don't know who died first. V'hoyu olav ksubas ishu bali chayv. Now this individual that died over here, so there are people that he owes money to. He owes money to his wife for the ksubah, he owes money to other bali chayv, and now he has no money of his own to pay them. If the woman would want to get a ksubah or the bali chayv want to get paid, so the only way they could get paid is if the money of the father or the money of the meirish is available for them to take. So now what's the argument here? The people that Yashin, the father, say, Haben Meisirishain, the son died first, so the son did not Yashin any money from the father because he died first. Only afterwards did the father die. So therefore, the Bali Chayv that want to take money from the son because the son Yashin the father, no, the son didn't Yashin the father, the son died first, so you get nothing. But the Bal Chayv says, no, Av Meisirishain. The father died first, then afterwards the son died, and therefore the son did yashin from the father, so we can take from our chayv as well to get paid the portion that the son yashined. So it's a suffix over here, whether the son yashined the father or not, who died first. So in such a case, Beis Shammai says you have to split this money that's a suffix here, you have to split it between the bali chayv and the yashim of the father. Beis Hillel say, no, nechasim b'cheskasan. You have to leave the money in the chazakah. Who has the chazakah over this money? The Yarshei Av. They have the chazakah. These Balei Chayv, even if it's true that the Ben Yarshin, but then they would have to come and bring a shtar and collect it from this Ben that owes them the money. They don't have the money in their possession. True, it's taka equal chazakah, who died first or who died second. But even if it's true that the father died first and the son is the one that Yashin, but they don't have a chazak over this. They erst have to come and collect their money for the chayv that's owed to them. Mashenke the Yarshei Av, they are the Yarshim. This is so therefore they get it. The money is in their chazaka. So therefore Beis Hillel says the Bali Chayiv get nothing. Why? Because the Yarshei Av have it in their possession. Frek the Gemara now Yarshei Av Vadai. The Yarshei Av they are Vadai Yarshim of their father. Bal Chayiv Safik. And this Bal Chayiv is considered to be only a Safik. Even if it's true, we don't know for sure that they have any chus to get from the son. We don't know if the son died first or second. Even if it's true that they get, they're only a Safik. They now have to come and collect from him the money that maybe he yashin. So therefore they're only considered to be a Safik. And what do Beis Shammai say here? That we'd split it. The Ka'asi Safik Meitzim Midei Vadai. Beis Shammai says we split it and we say that the Safik, the Bali Chayiv, could come and take out of the Yershim of the father, which are a Vadai. So over here I see that even when there's someone that has a stronger position of being a muhsik, nevertheless, when there's a suffix, you still split it. So how can we say in the pshat of our Mishnah that over here, when the woman is still alive and therefore she's a muhsik, so in such a case, Beis Shammai would be maida that she can do with the money whatever she wants. Answers the Gemara, not there's a different reason. Kasavri Beis Shammai, in that case, Beis Shammai holds, shtar ha'omed ligbois kagavi domi. Whenever you have a document, in order to collect money, because the document proves that the money is owed to you, it's as if you already collected it. So there is a chazakah, it's as if it's already in their possession. So it's not like we thought that the Yarshei Av, they're the ones that have the upper hand, they have the chazakah. They're for sure Yarshim, they get the money without having to prove anything. The Yarshei Haben, the ones that want to get over here, in this case it's the Baal Chayv, the ones that get paid, they have to now come and collect it. No. If they have to come and collect it with a shtar, it's as if it's already collected. So they have as much as a chazakah as the Yarshei Ab. And therefore Beis Shammai says, you split it between them. Where do I see this thing? Where do I find that Beis Shammai says such a concept that when you have a document, it's as if it's already collected, that is. We learned in the Mishnah in Saita. We're talking about a woman that's a Saita, right, which is a suffix if she was mizana or not. If she was mizana, if she had a relation with someone else, she gets no ksubah. If she did not, she does get a ksubah. So there's not now every Saita, there's really a suffix if she deserves to get her ksubah money or not. Meisu baleyen. So now the Saita, the husband passed away. Achalei shasu, before she drank the waters of the Saita to determine if she was mizana or not. Beis Shammai yemrim, Beis Shammai say noitles ksubasan veinan sheises. She can get her ksubah and she doesn't drink the waters. Once the husband passed away, there's no halacha of drinking the waters of a Saita. Beis Hillel yemrim, Beis Hillel say oy sheises oy lo noitles ksubasan. Either she drinks the waters of the Saita, or she does not take the money of her ksubah. That's a simple translation here. So the Gemara asks right away, in Beis Hillel's opinion, Oy shaisais, he's saying that after the husband passes away, there's an option for her to go and drink the water of the Saita. But it says, Vehevi ishes ishtoyam rachmana. Only if the husband brings his wife, then does she drink the water of the Saita. But he's not alive, he's not here, he's not alive. Elo, so the way to understand Beis Hillel's opinion is as follows. Since at this point she can't drink the waters of the Saita anymore, so therefore, so she can't take the money of the ksubah. Why not? Because there is a chazakah here. Who has the chazakah over the money of the ksubah? The yarshim of the father. The money was still in their possession. She now comes and wants to collect this money, and there's a suffix. Maybe she was mizana, maybe she was not. So because there's a suffix, she can't be mitzi the money. That's what Beis Hillel is saying. Right? And what does it say? What did Beis Shammai say? Beis Shammai says she does get the ksubah. For ha the suffix over here, this is a case of a suffix zenoi, suffix loy zenoi. Maybe she was mizana, maybe she was not. So we don't know if she even deserves the money of the ksubah, because the suffix a mitzi midei vadai, and even though she's a suffix, she can come and be mitzi the full ksubah. Actually, here it's even stronger. She can be mitzi. We don't even say achleiku here. She can come and be mitzi the full ksubah from the yarshim of the father that seemed to be a vadai. So doesn't this prove that Beis Shammai would hold that a suffix can be mitzi from a vadai? Elo shmami no. So what does this prove? What's the reason why she could be mitzi the full ksubah here? The reason is because shtar ha'omed ligbais kagavi domi. Because in this case, this document she has, her ksubah that she has, it's like it's already collected, and therefore the money is hers. And she actually is the one that has the upper hand. She's the one that has the chazakah over this ksubah, and therefore she gets everything over here. Okay, so as I mentioned, Rashi points out this thing, that over here it's actually even stronger than in the first case. In the first case, there's a suffix between the Yarshei Ha'av and the Balei Chayv. Who gets the money over here? Over there, Beis Shammai says that there's, because the Balei Chayv have a shtar in their hands, and there's a suffix who gets it, so we say achleiku. But over here, regarding the ksubah, it's even stronger. We don't know b'chlal if she was mizana or not. The Yoshim of the father come and say, you were Mizana. They're going to have to prove that she was Mizana. If they can't prove that she was Mizana, she has a ksubah, and therefore she gets the ksubah 100%. Okay, but the point is, here we see that we could say that Beis Shammai still agrees that we say that in a case where there's, again, that we do not say that the suffix has a koyach to be mitzvah from a vadei. Right? Everybody will agree, going back to the pshat in our Mishnah, that ein suffix mitzvah midei vadai. If she's still alive, and therefore there's a suffix over here, the Yavam himself wants to take her possessions, and she's still alive, and she wants to have the possessions that are hers, because she has a chazaka over the guf of her properties, she's the vadai, and the Yavam is the suffix, so therefore she can go and sell it and do with it whatever she wants. And even though we find in other cases that a suffix could be mitzvah midei vadai, that's an exception, because over there the suffix be'emes also has a chazaka. The suffix has a document, he has a shtar, and it's as if it's already collected. Fragt the Gemara ve'abaya. Abaya asked a question on Rav's pshat. Abaya, or Rab's pshat. Abaya tried to disprove this. Abaya tried to make the point that Beis Shammai holds that a suffix could be mitzvah midei vadai. So now, loisvei meha. Where did Beis Shammai bring his question from to ask from Beis Shammai's opinion? He brought from a Mishnah. This is a Mishnah in Baba Basra. over there, that case where the house collapsed on a father and a son. So he was asking from that Mishnah to try to prove that Beis Shammai holds that a Safek could take out of Avade. Why is he asking from a Mishnah Baba Basra? Why doesn't he ask a Mishnah from right over here and say the Noshim from the Mishnah in Masechta Saita, where it says that this Saita could take the money of Riksubah? So the Gemara says, no, he didn't want to ask from this Mishnah because Dilma Ksubas Isha Shani. Maybe when it comes to the Ksubah, it's different, and we allow her to accept to take the Ksubah, to collect the Ksubah, even though she's a Safek Mishum China. Because one of the points of the mitzvah of Ksubah is, or the halacha to give a Ksubah, is for Chaim, that the women should want to go and get married to their husband, being sure that their husband will give the Ksubah money when they have to. So maybe by a Ksubah, we're more lenient, or we're more interested in making sure that she gets her Ksubah money. Maybe only over there, Beis Shammai holds that she gets it even though she's a Safek. So therefore from the Ksubah we can't ask. That's different. Frag the Gemara, but not coming back to our mission that we learned right over here in Amar Aleph. Why can we ask a question from Beis Shammai's opinion regarding the case of the Ksubah that it said in our Mishnah? What did it say regarding the case of the Ksubah in our Mishnah over here? You have this Yevama that did not get married to her Yavam yet, and there's a Safek. What happens to her Ksubah money? Who gets her Ksubah money over here when she passes away? Does her Yarshim get it? Do the Yarshia of the Yavam get it? What did it say in our Mishnah? What did Beis Shammai say? Yachlaiku. You split it. Why do you split it? L'chayre, in such a case, the Yarshim of the Yavam are the ones that are muchzik on this Ksubah. Hayais, she never collected. She was never able to collect this Ksubah when she was alive. And that Ksubah belongs to her Yavam when she was alive. He had the Chazakah. So why did Beis Shammai in our Mishnah say that she can go, or her Yarshim can go ahead and collect it? So instead of asking from a case in Baba Basra, or instead of asking from a case in Saita, right here in our Mishnah, Beis Shammai is saying Yachloiku, that the Yershim get from this Ksubah, even though the Yershim of the Yavam are the ones that are the Vadai, and her Yershim are only a Safek. So the Gemara says, the reason why I didn't ask from our Mishnah is because the truth is, Loi Pligi. Beis Shammai do not argue regarding the case of the Ksubah. Regarding the case of the Ksubah, Beis Shammai would agree to Beis Hillel that the Yarshim of the Yavam get it fully. Like Beis Hillel said in the Mishnah, it's in their Chazakah. Frek the Gemara v'loi, Beis Shammai is not arguing regarding the Ksubah, but v'alkatani. What does it say in our Mishnah? Meisa. What happens if this Yavam that never got married to Yevama, that is, never got married to her Yavam, what happens now with her Ksubah? Ma yasa biksubasa. What do you do with her Ksubah that she never collected? And also the properties that she brought into the first marriage that go out with her. What do you do with both of them? And on both of them, Beis Shammai yemrim yachleiku. Yershei Baal and Yershei Av, that you split it between the Yershei Baal with the Yershei Av, even though the Yershei Baal, which is the Yershim of the Yavam, have the Chazakah. So clearly Beis Shammai is arguing about this. You leave the money in its possession, and therefore her Yarshim cannot get the money of the Ksubah. So the Gemara says, even though this is the lashon of the Mishnah, but hachi ka'amar. This is how you have to read the Mishnah. Meisav, she passes away. Ma yasa b'ksubasa. What do you do with her Ksubah? The Mishnah is asking that question. But v'shafka, the Mishnah leaves that point. The continuation of Beis Shammai saying that you split it does not go on this. And then it says, the properties that she brought into the marriage, so that Beis Shammai yomrim yachlaiku. Regarding this, Beis Shammai says you have to split it. Yershei Baal and Yershei Av. Beis Hillel yomrim, and Beis Hillel say that the properties remain in their chazakah because since the guf of those properties belong to her, so therefore it remains in the chazakah of the Yershim of the Yevama. But regarding the Ksubah, there's no argument b'chlal. So therefore the Gemara didn't ask any question from our Mishnah. This is the pshat of Rabbe in the Mishnah. Okay, so now but the whole pshat of Rabbe in our Mishnah is based on the fact that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are not arguing regarding the Ksubah. They're only arguing regarding her properties that she brought into the marriage. So on that point, the Gemara says, Amar Ravashi said, Masnisin nami deike. The lashon of our Mishnah, even though there's a big deichik here, we're saying that there's a certain point the Mishnah brought up and then it does not continue on that. Shafka, it leaves it, but nevertheless the continuation of the lashon of the Mishnah proves like Rabbe's pshat. Tani, what does it say in our Mishnah? Yachloiku Yershei Habal im Yershei Av. The Yershim of the husband come and they yarshim together with the Yershim of the father, which is her family. So what do you see from this? Who are the main Yershim here? The main Yershim are her Yershim. And the Yershim of the Baal yarshim together with her. So what does that talk about? Her properties. Because it's her nichsim elug, it's her properties, her yarshim are the main yarshim, and now the yarshei abal come and yarshin along with her. V'loy ketani, and it does not say in the Mishnah, the opposite lashon, yarshei av im yarshei abal. That her yarshim, her family, will yarshin together with the Yevamos family, the Yevamos yarshim, which would indicate that we're talking about the ksubah. Regarding the ksubah money, it's the yarshim of the Yevam, which are the main yarshim. And the yarshim of the Isha want to come and now claim that they have a chelik in this as well, that because she never got married to him, and therefore they have a chelik in this as well. So because it doesn't use the term of yarshei av and yarshei abal, it uses the term yarshei abal and yarshei av. That shows that what are we speaking about? We're speaking about her properties. And her yarshim are the main yarshim over here. Shema Mino, that proves this pshat that we just said. Now the Gemara brings a third pshat in our Mishnah. Abaye says, Reisha, in the Reisha of the Mishnah, when we allow her to sell and do whatever she wants with her properties, the naflu lakishisha emeres yavam. We're talking about those monies, properties that she got after her first husband passed away. When she was in this situation, when she was already a shemeres yavam. Seifer, and the Seifer was speaking about the naflu la kashihi tachtov, the properties that she had while she was married to her first husband. So the point of here is the properties that she got when she was a shemeres yavam. So because she didn't get it when she was fully married to her first husband, the yavam doesn't yarshin this. The yavam yarshins all the properties of the first husband. But she didn't have those properties when she was married to her first husband. She got it now when she was a shemeres yavam. Shemeres yavam, she's not yet married to her second husband. She's not married to her first husband anymore. She's not married to the second husband yet. So those she can do whatever she wants with it. The Seifer though, those are the properties that she got kashihi tacht of the Baal, when she was married to the first husband. So therefore over here, regarding those properties, over here there's a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, what you do with them. And the Gemara explains, Kusava, regarding those properties that she got when she was married to her first husband, so Ksava Abaya holds, Yodoi ki yoda. Her hand on her properties, and his hand, the husband's hand, on her properties is equal, is the same. What does this mean? So Rashi explains that these properties that she gets while she's married to him, while she's married to her first husband, what do you do with these properties? The actual properties itself belong to her. The husband is able to use the paytas. He's able to eat from everything in these properties. Right? But that's when they're alive. What happens when he passes away? So now, because when they're alive, yodoi ki yoda, they both have a similar control over the properties after the husband passes away. So now, because she's still alive, her hand over the properties are actually stronger. That's what Beis Hillel holds. Okay, Mashenkin Beis Shammai actually holds, Rashi over here brings, Beis Shammai disagrees, and Beis Shammai says that when she was alive, the properties that she brought into the marriage, the husband has a stronger hand over it. Not the same like her, he has a stronger hand over it. And therefore, even after he passes away, the Yarshim of the Yavam will be able to Yarshim, will be equal to her, and will be able to Yarshim, and therefore Beis Shammai says, you split it. Okay, but the point of here is, in the Reisha of the Mishnah, we're talking about the properties that she got after her husband passed away, that she could do with it whatever she wants. And in the Seif of the Mishnah, we're talking about the properties she got when she was alive, when the husband was alive. She was married to him, so over here there's a machlokes, what happens to those properties? Amalei Rava, so Rava asks on this. So Rava says, no, that's not the pshat in the Mishnah. Rava is going to bring another pshat over here. If these properties, she got them, kishi tachtov the Baal, when she was married to her first husband, nobody will argue like Beis Shammai holds, the yodoi adifim yoda, that the control of the husband over these properties is actually stronger than her control. Now again, this lashon that his control is stronger than her control does not mean regarding the actual properties itself. Everybody agrees that when she's alive, the properties itself belong to her and the paytas belong to him. The only question is, after he dies, in this case of a shemeres yavam, over here by a case of shemeres yavam, who gets these properties? Does the yavam get the properties from his brother? Or because she did not get married to the Yavam yet, does she get those properties? So Beis Shammai says, Yodoi adifim yodoi, that the husband's hand is stronger than her hand, and therefore the Yavam will yashin it. That everybody will agree. Hello. So what's the case in our Mishnah? Both cases in the Reish of the Mishnah, the Seif of the Mishnah, the case over here is, when did she get these properties? after her first husband passed away, now, when she's a Shemeres Yavam. She's waiting for the Yivum of the second husband. So what's the difference between the Reisha and the Seifa? Why in the Reisha do we allow her to sell it and do with it whatever she wants and not in the Seifa? Reisha dolei avad ba maimer. In the Reisha, she's waiting. There's a Zika. She's waiting to get married to him, and he did not do anything. No Yibum and not even Maimer. Not even the Kedushin Midrabanan either. Seifa, and the Seifa, where there's an argument between Beishamai and Basil, what happens? The Avad Ba Maimer. Over there, the case is that he already did a Kedushin Midrabanan. And what therefore, Okisavar Rave, so Rave and his pshat over here, what he holds is, Maimer le Beishamai, according to Beishamai's opinion, once you do Maimer, Oise Vada Yarusa, through the Maimer, Beishamai's opinion, we had this once before, Beishamai holds, Maimer has a Koyach Minat Teire to turn her into a Vada Yarusa, and Safik Nesua. She's a Vada Yarusa, but she's a Safik Nesua, Safik if she's fully married. And what's the halacha therefore? Vada Yarusa, she's considered to be an Arusa, married to the extent, Litchais B'tzara, to push off the tzara, that now the tzara does not have to do Yibum anymore. And Safik Nesua, but there is, she's considered to be only a Safik to be fully married, which means Lach like B'nechasim. That because she's not fully married yet, since it's only a Maimon Midrabanon, so now it's a Safik who her properties that she got at this time period belongs to. Does it belong to her, or does it belong to her Yavam? That's the Pshat in Beishamai's opinion. Whereas Beis Hillel, what does Beis Hillel hold? Beis Hillel says Maimer is only a Kedushin Midrabanan, so therefore the Kedushin Midrabanan did not really take effect. So therefore Beis Hillel says that the money that was in her Chazakeh remains in her Chazakeh. That's the Hezbollah of the Reisha of the Mishnah. What's the Hezbollah of the... Again, this is the Hezbollah of the Seif of the Mishnah, where there was Maimer that was already done. The Hezbollah of the Reisha of the Mishnah is when there was no Maimer done, just a Zika in such a case. And when she gets money in that time period, it doesn't belong to the Yavam at all. He's not yet married to her, didn't do any Yibum, not even Maimer either. Itmar Mishmei de Rabbi Lazar, Kvasei de Rava. We learned in the name of Rabbi Lazar, like the Pshat that Rava said in our Mishnah. Vitma Mishmei de Rabbi Yosef Rab Chanina, Kvasei de Abaye. And the name of Rabbi Yosef Chanina, we learned like the Pshat of Abaye. Fragt the Gemara, Omi Amar Rabbi Lazar Hachi, could you say that Rabbi Lazar would say the Pshat in Beishamai's opinion, like Rava says here? And what was the point of Rava's opinion? That once you do Maimer, Beishamai holds that the Maimer is kaina, it makes her a full arusa, and therefore it's deichad etzara, and therefore we also say that she becomes a Safik Nesua, and you have to divide the money. But did Rabbi Lazar say this? But Va'amar Rabbi Lazar, when we brought Beishamai's opinion once before over here in the Masechta, so Rabbi Lazar said regarding Beishamai that Maimer le Beishamai eina kaina, that even according to Beishamai, Maimer does not have a koyach to be kaina as a real kinyan minatayre. Ella litchais b'tzara bulvad. The only thing that it'll be kind of for is to push off the tzara, that now the tzara you cannot do yivim for her. That's the only thing that it's kind of for. But otherwise it's not kind of. So how could Rabbi Lazar say that over here the pshat in our Mishnah is that the Yavam already did Maimer and therefore you're going to have to split the money with him? Says the Gemara, you're right, Eipach. You have to switch the opinions here between Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, switch their opinions. If you buy same, or if you want, I'll tell you, you don't have to switch their opinions. Lo'elam le'teipach. Amalach Rabbi Lazar will answer you and explain, Ki amriyana, when I said that according to Beishamai, Maimer is not a full kinyan, do le'sagila beget. What I meant to say is, it's not a full kinyan that if you want to divorce her, it'll be enough to give her a get. Ella rather, the boy nami chalitza. You have to have a get and chalitza. That's the only point I was saying when I said that Maimer is not a full kinyan. Lachloik b'nechasim deloikani mi amri. Did I ever say regarding the fact that the Yavam is considered to be a marriage, that now you're going to have to split the money with the Yershim of the Yavam? Regarding that, I didn't say that it's not a marriage. Regarding that, it is a kinyan. Rav Papa goes back regarding all the pshatim that we had over here in our Mishnah, and Rav Papa says, Diyuke de masnisin kevasei de abaya. The language of the Mishnah is mashma like abaya. And the Gemara will explain soon why. The kashya mesa, even though there is a question on Abaye's pshat, because it says in the Mishnah the term mesa, and it's not necessary for the Mishnah to use the term mesa, but nevertheless, still it's mashma like Abaye's pshat. So again, what was Abaye's pshat? What's the difference between the Reisha of the Mishnah and the Seif of the Mishnah? In the Reisha of the Mishnah, it's talking about that she got her money now, when she's a Shemeres Yavam, after her first husband passed away. The Seif of the Mishnah is talking about when she got the money before, when she was still married to the first husband. That's why she doesn't have so much of a control over it. So he says, the lashon of the Mishnah is mashma this way, because it says nechasim hanechnasim v'yotzin ima, the money that comes in with her and goes out with her. Why does he use this term? Usually it uses the term nichse malog, or why does it say it comes in with her and goes out with her? My nechnasim and my yotzin. Lav, don't you think it means nechnasim l'rishus habal? This shows you that we're talking about that she got this money already when she was married to the first husband. She entered into the rishus of her first husband, when she was still married to him, and v'yotzin b'rishus habal. And now it's leaving the rishus of the baal. Her husband passed away, and now the question is, who gets these properties? L'rishus ha'av, and it goes out now to the rishus ha'av, which means to her family members. Possibly, could be that it goes to her family members. That's in the case of the seif of the Mishnah, is that it's talking about the money that she got in the first marriage. V'afagav the kashi mesa. Now on Abaye's pshat, Rav Papa said that the term mesa that it says in the seif of the Mishnah, that she passed away, and now the Yorshim are arguing who gets this money. So there's no reason to say that she passed away. They're arguing about the properties themselves. Who yarshins it after she passes away? The same argument you could have also when she's still alive regarding the peiris. That because this is properties that she got when her first husband was alive, now the question is, the Zika of the Yavam, who gets these properties? Do the Yarshim of the Yavam get it, or do her Yarshim get it? V'sulay midi. Nothing else is to be asked on this. Nothing else to be said on this pshat of Abaye. This is the only question that there is. But otherwise, Abaye's pshat is a good pshat in the Mishnah. Okay, so those are the four we had over here. 4 pshatim: Ula's pshat, Rab's pshat, Abaye's pshat, and Rav's pshat, and the difference between the Reisha and the Seif of the Mishnah. Going on to the next chelik of the Mishnah, it said Kinsa Harehi Chulu. So we're just going to finish to the Mishnah here. So it says Lamai Hilchase. When it says that once he fully marries her, once he does Yibum, now he's like her wife. She's like his wife, that is. Regarding what is this? Omer Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina, Loima, this is to say, Shemigarsha beget. That at this point, if he divorces her, it's just with a get. And also, Umachzira, he can remarry her. In fact, the Gemara, Megarsha beget, Pshita, the fact that he could divorce her with a get, that should be obvious. I mean, now she's fully his wife. So, of course, he could have divorced her with a get. Says the Gemara, no. I would think to say, if it says in the pasuk, he takes her as a wife, ve'yibma, and he's miyabim her. Amar Rachmana. That's what the Torah says. So when it adds that word v'yibma, what does it teach me? Va'adayin yivumi arishin alel. The status of her being yivama is still upon her, and b'chalitzim beget. So even at this point, if he wants to divorce her, it's with chalitza and not with a get. Kamash malan. That's why it says over here that no, she becomes a full wife, and he divorces her with a get. Now it said in the Mishnah Machzira, we said that the Mishnah wants to tell you that he can remarry her, pshita. This also seems to be obvious that now that she's a regular wife, if he divorces her, he's allowed to remarry her. Says the Gemara, no, there's a chiddush here.
Well, if you do chalitza, you can't.
No, not chalitza. Again, he married her as a yavama, and now he has to give her a get, not chalitza, only a get, and after he gives her the get, he's allowed to remarry her. So that seems to be pashut. So says the Gemara, I would think to say, mitzvah de ram yerachmana alei avda. The mitzvah that he had to be miyavimer, he did when he was miyavimer. Now hashta, now he divorced her. So take him aleh bis eishesach. Now after he did the mitzvah, the original isser of eishesach, that she's the brother's wife, should come back, and now he can remarry her again. So she's an erva. Kamash Malah, that's where the Mishnah says, once he married her once, with Yibum, even if he divorces her, the isser of eishesach never comes back. Like the Gemara, but how do you know? Maybe this is like a very good svara. Maybe the isser of eishesach does come back. As says the Gemara, because he takes her as a wife. Once he married her, she becomes his wife 100%, and there's no isser of eishesach anymore. The last thing it said in the Mishnah was, the ksuba money comes from the first husband, and not from the Yavam himself. He doesn't have to give from his own money for the ksuba. My time, why doesn't he have to give from his own money for the ksuba? Says the Gemara, Isha hiknuloi min hashamayim, because this is not a wife that he chose for himself, that he would have to pay for it. This is a wife that the Eibishter is acquiring for him from heaven. And therefore he does not have to give the money for it. The money comes also along with this wife from the first husband. But the Gemara says, what if the money that's coming from the first husband is not enough for the ksubeh? Then tekinula misheni. Then Chacham will misakin that the Yavam will have to give the money. One of the reasons for ksuba is that if a husband knows that he has to pay when he divorces his wife the ksuba money, it shouldn't be light in his eyes to divorce his wife. So over here, this yavam as well, he should not just rely on the fact that he gets money from the husband, from the first husband that is, but if there's not enough, he's going to have to pay for it as well, so it shouldn't be light in his eyes to divorce his wife.